just one person asking questions. Let's make it a conversation, including all of us. So we would appreciate if anyone, you can raise your hand, you can ask questions, and we can have a conversation over here.
Actually, we still have unanswered. How do you decide whether AI should make a decision autonomously versus assist the human in making it? And actually, I like to I'd like to make it clear that my point of view is like not it should not be about or identifying what only human can do this or that because I'm an engineer, so I think there will be more and more AI will be much more capable anyway, as we've been seeing over the last 3 years. So I think there will be, it doesn't really make sense to me to identify or define these are the domains only humans can do. It will change anyway, and I think there will be more and more things we can think of now that can be done by AI. So I like to think like there will be more things that we don't know yet will be done by human and maybe with AI. It doesn't really make sense. I don't think it's a point to distinguish and draw the line between this will be done by AI, this will be done by that will be done by human. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it's really meaningful to talk about that thing. We should really focus on the values and problem solving and whatever, identifying problems, etc. And it doesn't really matter who does what. AI can do that. Okay, let it do that. And if human can do that, let human do that. And actually, it doesn't. We really do not need to protect this domain because this domain needs to be done by human, or we believe this domain should be done by human. I don't think it's a really productive way of thinking or doing things. But I just wanted to.
Javier, do you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. I think personally, it's going to be hard to see or to think about a specific activity that is going to have no AI component, right? Especially with the passing of time, even the most labor-intensive activities are going to be aided by or helped by AI-driven robotics, so on and so forth. So the way I think about this, I don't know if this is the right way to think about it, but this is the way I'm conceptualizing is that AI is going to be at least a companion in every single thing that we do in due course, right? So I don't see this as an AI-driven task or a human task. It's going to be a combination of both.
And humans are greedy. Well, we are greedy. So we will keep finding something new to do. We don't know, but we really do not need to worry too much about losing jobs and so forth as an industry. There could be some period that government or maybe social public sectors need to take care of during the transition. But eventually, I believe there will be more work. And I really hope, in my view, we'd like to be, less busy. But as a result, we keep seeing people are getting even busier, right? With over the last, 2 to 3 years after ChatGPT was launched. So yeah.
So he has asked the question.
Okay.
So maybe let him clarify.
Hi. Hope I'm audible. Okay, so the question is from the perspective, actually our company is working on a product. We have a team of around 15 to 20 people with us, and we are working on a product. So there are many competitor products in the market. Like there is ServiceNow, there is Managing, and there is Jira Service Management. So all these products are there in the market. And our company has built a product which is actually similar to all these products in the market, but there is a huge gap between one product and others. So the question is from the perspective from AI as we are building it, but we need to understand what a looks from what are their perspective when they go for in the market or when they look for it, like this is what is needed now or in future. The question is from this perspective. Hope I am clear.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I have to rephrase, I mean, what we were again, right? Like, I mean, whether if someone is building the product, how VCs or how right, like large companies think, right? Like which yeah, part. And look, I mean, recently, right? Like there was one article on YC that YC is looking for companies that are breaking right, like the big companies or creating like using AI. They are competing with the big companies, and I believe right, like you are doing something like that. So if you could share your thoughts on that, and whether you will invest in or as well, right? That's also.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to my point before that it's very, very hard to make a decision, an investment decision in the field, because it is very hard to find a company that can be truly differentiated in our own home. So in the end, the way I look at it is like, does the company or a product have a real moat? I mean, I know this is a cliche word, but in the end, it boils down to that. And in most cases, it's actually very hard to see a moat in many of these products and companies. Very, very hard. I hope this answers the question.
And from a non-VC point of view, I would say, yeah, it's extremely, I guess, it's extremely difficult to fight or maybe compete against, frontier AI labs when you try to build a product really horizontal, that product or services that covers or that tries to cover all industries. And I think this is something I really hear, and I am actually seeing more and more recently. Like domain knowledge wins, and you should choose whatever business domain, like I don't know, medical, finance, or agriculture, whatever, a life science, real estate, whatever. So those specific domain knowledge can have more values, and your product or your service should be an expert of this particular domain, and you know the customer, and you know the customer's need, and you know the biggest challenges in the domain, etc., etc. So with that, I think you can build at least some products and services that are actually useful and that actually solve the problems. But if you target all the domains, like in general, I don't think it's easy. It's easy to build a moat to sell or to win against all other players. So you have to be. I think at this point, you should focus on something really specific, and you should be number one in terms of understanding the domain.
And if I may add to what you said, Ken, I think there's something very important about speed to execution, basically. In capturing market share as quickly as you can before anybody else comes into the arena, and in a way that you impose high switching costs to your client. Because to me, it's less about product differentiation, because it's going to be very hard to, in the long haul, to come with a product that is truly differentiated. So focus on coming up with something that, again, imposes this switching tax on the customer. And the way I look at it is like price it at a point that is going to make it very hard for a client to really switch over to another competitor. Right? Hopefully this helps. But it's a personal view, but could be helpful.
It's a moat.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, for that, for moving too fast, we need investors, leaders, and government.
Any other questions?
There is a question.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So how do we see the AI ecosystem evolving further now? So will we see more and more smaller models being built from scratch, which will cater to niche use cases, or will we just see the bigger models like the ones developed by OpenAI and things which will cater to everything? So is there a niche where startups could come and develop their own models for some smaller things?
Yeah, thank you for asking. And I think I should try to answer this question. Right. As I mentioned, well, we probably should focus on, or we should be prepared for more like diverse, situation in terms of models. For instance, I believe companies like Apple will definitely pursue a local LLM. Like their business is basically selling hardware. They try to sell more iPhones and Mac Minis and Mac hardwares, and actually they have strong selling point about privacy and maybe security and confidential handling confidential information. And those use cases are really valid, and I think there will be, we will keep having smaller models like small language model SLMs. And actually, those local LLMs are keep getting better and better. So I think it will probably be good enough, And actually, even now, it is some of those models are good enough to run specific tasks, right? For instance, agentic loop can actually rely on those local models, and sometimes they need to use, they try to rely on some frontier models like from OpenAI and Anthropic, but it is already happening. Those agents are actually using multiple models at the same time, maybe cloud and local. And I think, I don't know, but still, some people say AI will be much better. We will see some AGI, and we will probably have ASI, even an ASI. But to me, if we really have AGI, and if we really have ASI at some point in the future, what is the point of thinking about it now? If it is going to be like a movie, a sci-fi movie like Matrix and Terminators, and maybe they will kill us. They will exterminate us. That's actually an interesting topic, it's like philosophical question. But we are in business, and I don't think it's we try to grow the business, and we try to deliver values to the world, the customers, our users. It might be we should focus on that, as long as we talk about business, and we shouldn't worry too much. We shouldn't be too worried. Well, it doesn't really make sense to be worried about ASI and AGI and ASI in the business context. And actually, I hope, as an engineer, I hope there will be AGI. We will have AGI at some point in the future, in 10 years. I don't know. It would be great. We might get killed. That's okay. When it happens, right? But I don't think it's a really nice way of using our time in a business context.
Hello, I totally agree with you. I only if I want to die so quickly, but if I may add some color to what you said, I think in terms of the models, I personally, I'm not an expert the way you are, but the way I see this is that there's going to be a commoditization of models. And for many of the tasks that we do on a daily basis, we'll have open source models, and the cost of them will come almost to zero. I only see I see value of foundational models for specific industries. So, for instance, in financial markets, if you are a Citadel, if you are James Street, and you want to be ahead of the competition, so you are actually going to pay millions of dollars in order to extract the juice, in order to beat the competitor and extract the economic value of this arbitrage, right? If you are in, let's say, healthcare and you are doing drug development, it's very, very important that you are maximizing, leveraging the latest foundational models. But I mean, these are specific, you are in national defense, right? But for most mundane activities, a simple out-of-the-box open source model, I think, is going to be more than enough.
I believe so. And I forgot to mention another thing, we are seeing new constraints, it's power. And, there are, companies like OpenAI and Google and Meta, they would like to build, or maybe NVIDIA as well. They are really, they are making huge investments to build a new data center to, to cater, to accommodate the need of the computing power. But I heard many of those constructions are not really going on because of the limitation of the power. They need power plants, and power is limited. Building a new power plant takes like years, right? Takes years. And even if they have built a data centers, they have no power, so they cannot really make it work. And because of that, I believe AGI will take some time, a little more time because of the energy issue, power issue, energy issue. And because of the same reason, I think local LLMs will be more relevant because we cannot keep paying for the power. And latest frontier models are really expensive. You cannot keep, you may not be able to justify the cost you pay for those, to Anthropic and OpenAI. So yeah, we'll, at least in the foreseeable future, I believe we will keep having sort of those diverse, models and cloud and local, because of power limitation, energy limitation.
Just one clarification. I mean, many of you may not know this word AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, and it's basically a stage where the AI's intelligence exceed, right, like human cognitive abilities. So
AGI is artificial general intelligence, and ASI is artificial super intelligence, and people saying like once we have AGI, we will no longer be able to, trace or control what they do.
But one more point that came, right? Like once we have AGI, there will be a universal basic income (UBI), right? Like where we don't need to work on.
Well, but it's up to what they think. What AGI may think humans are still humans are good for them.
Right.
Maybe we will be allowed to live under their mercy.
So we will have like a separate GGA session once the AGI comes. So don't worry about it. We'll keep everyone informed.
Yeah, but it's still it's not business actually.
Yeah. You can go ahead with the questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am from a healthcare industry. Today is a Doctor's Day. The way the Valentine Day is there. How you see the AI as a health coach in the future? And the way we go to the Dubai, we see the future wonder of Museum of Future. Can we see similar immersive reality by AI to the human care in future? Immersive, the way the virtual reality is there. Similarly, the immersive experience reality can be possible. Are there anything is going in that direction? Like
Yeah, I can take this question. And again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you what the latest investment that we've made in the fund is in a mental health application. And this is a space that is now dominated by tons of different players that are trying to replace the therapists with an AI companion, right? And our thesis is the opposite, is that especially in this specific space, mental health, the real medicine is the human connection. And this can never be disintermediated or replaced with AI. Our thesis is how we can really empower therapists to be more effective in a way that they can really increase the efficacy of treatment and they can advance healing for the patient. So this applies to the mental health space, but applies to any other any healthcare application. So, and especially in a heavily regulated industry, we are seeing now that many of these AI-centric companies are getting sued right and left by the state in different states in the U.S. Why? Because there's a chance of creating harm because the AI is not going to come up with the right answer in some cases. And also there's a lot of concern by the practitioners that they don't want to lose jobs, right? So the combination of these two factors make me believe that again, the human in the loop will never be replaced, or at least we will be replaced for a long time. And I think it's good. I think it's good that humans are in the place in the loop. Otherwise, what is the purpose of our human experience if we think of a future where we are completely disintermediated? I don't know if this answers the question. Hopefully, it helps. Ask color.
Yeah, I have nothing much to add, to be honest. But it would be great as long as it would be, meaningful, as long as patients are happy with their solution, regardless of how much you use AI, how much you rely on human. It doesn't really matter to the customer, to the patient, or maybe I don't know, clients. I think you should focus on the values. Yeah, value creation, value delivery.
Yeah, now it's very exciting, but in the end, it's like these are very simplistic terms, but it's just a companion, just one more personal entity that you can really leverage in the human experience. But I don't see this as replacing the human experience.
Thank you.
There are two questions on the WhatsApp.
Can you read?
Yeah. We have two questions from the WhatsApp group. The first question is for Javier. What characteristics have you consistently seen in founders who later become your most successful portfolio companies?
I think I'm going to repeat myself because I mentioned something along those lines before. Again, I'm going to state the obvious. They have to be incredibly smart. They have to be incredibly driven. They need to be subject matter expert in their specific fields. So I think a matter of relevant experience for a number of years, I think is super, super important in most cases. I know I'm generalizing, but having that deep subject matter expertise to me is really, really important. They have to be team builders, and they need to convey a level of passion and vision that is attractive to others to join and be part of the mission. They have to be good people. To me, I always have the ASSLE radar. If someone is smart but is not really a good human being, it's not, at least it's not for me. So it's the combination of the smart and the human element that makes someone join something that is very difficult. Because let's be honest, as we've been saying all along, starting a startup is not for the faint of heart. Knowing that most of these companies are going to go down. So you have to have the full package, as I mentioned.
There is another question. AI is often seen as a threat to jobs. How do you envision AI becoming a catalyst for creating more employment opportunities across industries? And what skills should the next generation develop to thrive in an AI-driven economy?
Yeah, I'll take this. I'm optimistic, as I mentioned earlier. I'm actually really optimistic about the future in terms of job creation. Um, so many people saying like it's similar to, we can have some analogy with invention of cars. And when car it was invented, you know, they had horse-drawn carriage, right? Horse-drawn, carriage, like horse. And there were a bunch of occupations around that industry, maybe in the cities like London. They were the horse food. What is it? Fart, not fart. Horse. You know, they do. They they actually horse. Not horse. Horse. Like, yeah, yeah. They were in London. They had carriages, but the horses. Someone needs to clean up the horse. Yeah, the food. Horse poo. Yeah, right. And yeah, man. Yeah. It's, I think they're word. Yeah. Someone needs to clean up the horses poo, right? And that was an occupation. And actually, then they were really against about introducing the cars, right? Because they will lose their jobs. And of course, they were drivers, drawn carriage drivers. Maybe maybe they did something to acquire new skills, and I think roads are really optimized for horses. And by introducing cars, there will be new jobs, right? You have to build roads or a traffic system that will be optimized for cars. So I think we will see the same thing. But sorry, but I don't have clear answers about nobody has clear answers about newly generated or newly created occupations yet. But as I mentioned, humans are greedy, and humans are really good at finding something new to have fun, maybe. And there will be new occupations, and in the meantime, we will have difficulties with maybe short term during the transition. Some maybe governments or public sectors will need to take up those things, like basic income, whatever. So some safety net is needed to stabilize the society. But actually, that's something public sectors should do. In business people do not, shouldn't do. Well, in my opinion, business people should not be worried too much about it. Let's move on.
We have another question from Samir. If you had 1 year, a small but talented team, and Pune as your base, what would you build today to create a company that could compete on a global stage in the next decade?
Which questions?
I'll
Yeah.
It's such a hard question to answer. With this mic?
Yeah, with this mic.
Is this better? Or is me? Maybe it's me. it's my voice. Again, it's hard for me to answer the question in the context of Pune. Based on the talent that I've seen here so far, you guys can do anything. So I would probably answer in more general terms, what are the exciting sectors that are really unfolding. And the first one that comes to mind is space economy. Anybody has seen what SpaceX has done to the sector? I'm fortunate to have to live now in the area. If you go to Segundo, all that, it's incredibly exciting what is happening, right? the level of excitement, the level of activity, that is not only in the area, there are other sectors in the world, not many, but this is the future. This is one of the sectors of the future. I'm not an expert in India, but I think India is also incredibly determined to be a player in this vertical. So it could be a really interesting sector to explore further. This is something I'm doing personally, and yeah, I'll be spending more time personally.
Next question is by Adarsh Shetty. When we say that domain knowledge can be an organization's moat, how does that hold up in a world? When we say that domain knowledge can be an organization's moat, how does that hold up in a world where frontier AI models are becoming increasingly capable across virtually every domain? How can an organization capture and structure its proprietary knowledge in a way that creates a lasting competitive advantage beyond what frontier models already know?
Should I take this? I don't agree 100% with that question. Yeah, because I think it depends on the company and the sector. You know that AI is trained with public data. If you are a company, you have to be super protective of your perceived to be proprietary data. And as long as you do it, it's going to be very hard for any LLM to really capture. So again, it's up to you as a company to be protective of the IP that you have. And to the extent that you are successful in that area, I think you have staying power.
From the engineering perspective, I don't agree with this question either. To be honest, considering the a mechanism or foundational structure of how LLM works. LLM is basically a compressed information, very very smart, compressed information of the world data in a very smart way. So it's like lossy compression. It's like in a sense, if you think about image, you have a PNG file. PNG is a lossless compression, and JPEG is lossy compression, as you know. And if compression efficiency of JPEG is much better than PNG because it's lossy. And at this point, capturing all every information in the world in a single language model is actually really technological breakthrough. That's true. However, we cannot really find I don't think, because of the physical limitations and energy limitations, I don't think we can have a lossless compression of all the world's information in a language model. So I think it's at least because of the physical limitations I mentioned, I don't think we can expect frontier AI models are going to be going to cover all information, all the world's information ever created into a single, cannot compress all the information, precisely in a lossless manner. So there will always be, also from the technical perspectives, we will keep having informations or whatever domain knowledge that cannot be captured in a single language model, even if how big they are. So that is my take. So because of the physical limitation, we will have something to do. That cannot we will keep having something that frontier AI models cannot cover.
We have another question for Javier. What is one trend that most founders are chasing today, but you believe is overrated? And what opportunity do you think is being overlooked?
Well, what is overlooked, I think, I already addressed that before. It's so hard to answer the question. I think trying to put myself in the shoes of someone raising money from VCs. I guess that 1 out of 50 conversations is going to result in an investment. So what do you do to really get the VC's attention or interest in you? And it boils down to what I was talking about before. The idea has to be phenomenal. The market has to support. The market, the underlying market has to be exciting. But in the end, this is about establishing a relationship with a VC. So anything that you can do to really foster that connection from the get-go, I think is super important, and it's not really emphasized enough. People are trying to, sorry, maybe it's too hard, right? Maybe, yeah, sorry, apologies. I think people are really focusing on having a beautiful deck, very well rehearsed, and it's important, of course. But how can you really connect with the VC person at the other side of the table in a way that you build trust, you build this desire of continue the exploration together about something that could be interesting. So I would really spend time thinking about how you come across and how you can create this level of trust and the desire to work together. Again, maybe this is a sort of a voodoo answer, but I think it's actually quite important.
I think we are moving to the concluding part of the evening. If anyone has, I think so, we have covered most of the questions given on the WhatsApp. Yes.
Question to both of you actually. In this today's era, if you look at, obviously from the AI side, multiple tools are there, right? Anthropic is there, Cursor is there, Claude is there. Many of these businesses, the typical businesses, IT-enabled services, are based on how much efforts the resource is put in. Basically, a hourly cost, $32, $40 cost, right? And obviously that came, the actual project cost got estimated through multiple models, maybe function point analysis and all of that, right? Future looking, how one should estimate what this project is going to cost, how it is going to ROI it is going to bring us, and on the funding side of it, how you evaluate that, how the valuation will be for a product. Because nowadays, if you look at, I will tell you my own story. Last year, I was struggling to find a team of 7 or 8 people, good people. So we started using Cursor for last 2-3 months, and same product has been almost done in like 2.5 months time, right? So in this particular area, how you are looking at the ROI, the investments, and the valuations?
You want to take this question? I think you answered the question yourself. Building something, and I'm generalizing, building something is now a fraction of what it used to be. So it's not about looking at this from a valuation perspective, meaning how much it costs you guys to build something. It's how much you can get out of it, right? What are the amount of revenues that you can get out of what you build? How sustainable these revenues are. And that's how I would look into that. I'm never going to get into a conversation of what is the cost per token that you pay for what you build. Doesn't really matter. It goes into the capex. Of course, the more capital efficient that you are, the better indication that you are going to be a good steward of my money as an investor. So it's actually it's a good signal. But it's about in the end, it's about making money, bringing revenues that are sustainable. That's what is going to get us excited as investors.
Maybe if I add some point, I think eventually more than ever, I think it's getting more important to understand how it works under the world. I mean, how LLM, economics of LLM, or unit economics of LLM, in other words, are more important than ever to understand, to be profitable, to build a profitable businesses. Some companies like Meta and Amazon, like 6 months ago, they were talking about token maxing, right? And actually, they asked all employees to consume as much token as possible, and they somehow hoped it will solve their problems. But actually, they started saying like recently, like, no, you shouldn't token maxing anymore. Like Microsoft was like, you cannot use, you don't have unlimited, token budget for, it is actually happening with even with those hyperscalers and big techs. So yeah, because of the, as I mentioned, as I keep mentioning, physical limitations, the energy limitations. Energy is not free yet, at least. You need to pay to get energy, to buy energy. So I think there's limitations here. So I think all businesses are realizing that total maxing will not solve the problem, and we really have to be very clever about how it is actually running, how it is. LLM is not a magic. It is actually one of the state of art outcome of engineering, and it's important to understand how this is actually possible. What is a what are the restrictions and limitations with this technology? And people, 6 months ago, everyone was really like, everyone was dreaming about it. We will somehow solve this topic, issues, but that's no longer the case anymore. So I hope this answers the question. One more question.
I just need a perspective here. I just not an engineer, of course. So I just heard about AI working on finite, infinite data as well as ASI, AGI. In the long run, do you see AI coming up with a currency of its own or a universal single currency? What's your take on that?
With AI, yeah. I don't know. There will be, yeah, actually, it's interesting. And this reminds me, what I saw when I joined Google, like 20 years ago. Well, more than 20 years ago. And when I entered the campus, there was a huge whiteboard. They already, got rid of it because it was a little controversial. But they were actually talking about, okay, so this is Google's master plan, and we will have Google currency, and we will have Google government, and they had a crazy, they were at the time they were smaller than it is now, so they were they had some controversial plan on the big whiteboard, and actually it didn't happen, of course. And Meta actually had some plan on some cryptocurrency, right? I think government probably intervened, and they actually told Meta to abandon the project. So I think it's not about technology. I think from the technology perspective, it's possible, but there will be a tension between government and technology, and maybe social players in whatever domains. And it's not just about technology. So I hope this answers the question. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. And because money is power, and there's going to be no government that is going to allow to have one single player be in control.
That is a fun note to end today's conversation. Let's have a round of applause for Ken-san and Javier. Thank you so much, Ken-san and Javier, for this riveting discussion. I am, for one, extremely grateful to have such a diverse thought flow during this conversation. We have Javier saying, what is the purpose of human experience if we have a future where we are completely disintermediated? And then we also have simultaneously Ken-san saying, we might get killed, but that is okay. So there are a lot of thoughts to keep in the balance, and extremely thankful.